Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Nothing. Got you right in the middle of drinking something.
Middle of it.
Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah. Man, that was funny. Right on the money. Oh,
I shouldn't have took a drink right before the countdown ended.
right before it's like right when you're about to take your drink there, I was like, clear my throat. I was like, what if it cuts off early? Like, you know, great, epic. So I'm gonna tell you my story, okay? Because I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how cool it is, but it's at least it's something we can talk about. So I was actually doing an HVAC call today, believe it or not, and
Mhm.
I went out. That's where I took my skill tools. And what was it? What was that crap you said to me? Uh,
It was like a Kmart HVAC technician. Got a skill drill, got a south wire clamp meter.
yeah,
What
yeah.
else?
There was another one. There was another one.
I don't
Oh,
remember
like
what it was now.
it tripped me out because I was like, "You're right on the money."
And then
Is it?
your fancy Malco shear in the Ryobi drill or whatever that was.
Did you see it had a zip tie on it?
To match too, to match, had a lime green zip tie. Like, this is part of the tool. What are you talking about?
It's seamless. You can't tell what a tool stops and a zip tie begins. I tell you
But
what.
that was the other thing I was insinuating when I said if only your name were Chuck. It's like, because in the beginning of the video you're showing the layout of your truck. It's like, and you got I'm assuming it's like Jackson's booster seat in the back seat
Mm-hmm.
or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and everything's in like boxes. I'm like, look at this Chuck in a truck. Look at this
Oh,
guy.
that's exactly what it is. That's me. I'm chucking the truck. I also undercut my competition, so it's cool.
I'm
Uh,
about spit coffee everywhere. Yes, that's me. I undercut everybody.
yes, if
I
they'll
want
do
to.
it for 100, I'll do it for 60.
I
Thank
want to
you.
be the last guy in the door when you're getting multiple bids because I'm gonna undercut everybody.
All right, show me everybody's paper. Spread them out. All right, yeah, yeah, 1,000 less, 500 less, 2,000 less.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's Goodman. It's Goodman. Yeah, sure. Of course. I mean, of course it is. Right. Well, I go over there to this house, and this guy is a guy from a church I used to go to in that particular town, which is Burgaw, which is like Chicken Spoke North or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to go to the United Methodist Church there, and we haven't gone there in years. We've gone to a different church, but I installed the unit at his house, so he calls me back whenever I'm available. Even over the past few years, I've gone over there sporadically,
Yeah,
sometimes dedicated just to go to that customer because he preferred it.
yeah.
So checked everything out, and you watched the video. I mean, you found all
Mm-hmm.
my tools that were subpar. It's like a
That's right.
seek and find. It wasn't hard, was it? They're right there in front of you.
They're right there.
They're everywhere. So I was talking to this guy afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, if the church needs anything, let me know. I'd like to go help them too. I mean, that's the sort of thing where I'd go up there and I would like clean and check their units one day. And if they will work with me, I'll do it for free. I mean, I'll check the units and make sure everything's working in order. So
Yeah.
just work with my schedule." And he said, "Well, I don't know." And evidently, they had some kind of differences in the church, and there were two things. The first thing was something that we've talked about like a zillion times, which they were arguing about whether or not homosexuals were godly or not. And evidently, there's a group of people that think it's not a sin. So
Right.
I guess, and so they were arguing back and forth. And then the second thing, which I thought was interesting, more interesting than the first, 'cause I think the first has been kind of, I think it's a closed case, really. But he said they were all on this trip. They were going on like the Methodist bus somewhere. I don't know. And there was one non-Christian that decided to come with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they said whenever a lot of these people found out there was a non-Christian, they were like berating them, like, "You're going to go to hell. You're going to go to hell."
Right.
And like this guy's like, I don't know why they do that. He said, "Aren't we supposed to try to get people to basically see why we're Christians and join up with what we're doing?" But I don't know,
Right.
man. I think we get kind of judgy. Sometimes it comes off as we're above the law. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that ties right into some of the stuff that we've been studying, and even stuff that we've talked about in the past on here. Is just, we get like what Paul talks about. We get puffed up, and we're, we think we're better than somebody, and you're missing the whole point if you're like that. Like, I feel like as a Christian, and someone that's aspiring to be a disciple for Christ, you want those people that don't believe, or maybe they're struggling with believing, or whatever the case is. That's the kind of people you're looking for, that you want to talk to. Like, you don't want to cast them out or look down upon them.
I agree with you.
That's
I think that's that.
You know what I mean?
We all
Like,
started there, right? So we have to start there to get the other place.
yeah.
It seems kind of weird, but I totally I understand it in a way, because when you get turned on to this stuff, all of a sudden it's like you're shining a light on every wrong thing, because you have this great book that tells you how you should live, and this great love
Mm-hmm.
story of how God's kind of from start to finish bringing us Jesus, and He's saving all of us, and you
Yeah.
feel like you're in this privileged club almost,
Well,
and it
and
gives you a chip on your shoulder sometimes. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
and I tell you where I feel like, anyway, where we miss the mark on this, and where people like that are missing the mark. Like you said, you understand what they're doing, but you have to understand that when you're talking to somebody that is a non-believer, or they're struggling with their faith or whatever, you don't start that relationship with, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Look at me. Take me as the example. I'm doing everything right. I feel like we should start with, He loves you, and understand we're all guilty. I'm no better than you. Sin is sin. So just so, when you're talking to this person, explain to them, understand that it's an even playing field here. That I'm just as guilty of all these things. And let's work on this, and this, and start trying to build them up instead of beat them down,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we live in a world now like the internet, which we're enjoying right now. But I mean, a lot of it is like it's geared toward judgment. You judging something else. Like every TV show that my wife watches is geared toward judging somebody. Like let's say we're watching uh, Real Housewives. You know the
Mm-hmm.
show Real Housewives. The whole appeal, I think, of the show is that the people watching at home will judge these ladies and how they're living. I think that's
Right.
one of the great appeals of the show, because then they're always drinking and making fools of themselves, because these cameras are following them everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
every little problem they have, every little sin that passes, we can see, oh, look at that. I'd never do that. I think
Mm-hmm.
we get geared up just like that. I think that happens to me. I mean, I got to watch myself from thinking, hey, just because I read the Bible, I'm some kind of superstar or something.
It's geared for you to toot your own horn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I would never do that. There's say things like that. But I don't know. I think that's where like people that have been in the faith for a long time, like the elders, because I know Paul talks about how you rely on the elders. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where they come into play, because they've moved past that. Hopefully, they've moved
Yeah.
past that. I know that's not universal, but a lot of them
Yeah.
have been around. Like, you've been in the faith for 50 years, you're obviously not new to it. So you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of counsel people that are like, hey, we love Jesus more than anybody, kind of spiking the football kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I think that I think you have to be careful. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but just because someone is older in age doesn't necessarily mean that they are a, if you will, like spiritual parent. Like, that's one of the the terminology we've been talking about. Just because someone's older, or that they've been a member of the church for 40 years or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that they're uh, well, I guess well educated would be would be the best way to put it.
I understand.
So be careful there too. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You need those elder people. You need those people that have been strong in their faith for several years to kind of help tone you down a notch, when you start to get puffed up and you're in the beginning stages of, Christianity or whatever.
Maybe I don't know what the Bible means when it says elder. Maybe the implication is that it is like these are the elders you want to follow. Maybe not every single person of age has the wisdom, like you're talking about. I
Mhm.
mean, okay, let me ask you something. In your church, who is like the person that you would call, I guess the pastor would be the spiritual guide. How old is your pastor?
40, I believe.
So he's younger than me. I think our pastor's younger than me too.
Yeah.
So either I'm old, her pastors are all young. No, but that's interesting because this guy, I don't know, get in there and the guy starts talking. So this guy knows a ton of stuff, and he's younger than
Mhm.
I am. So it's almost like it's not really an age thing; it's like a spiritual age instead of
Oh,
like a physical age.
the way I see it is it's how dedicated they've been to growing in their faith since becoming a Christian. Because, like I said, I mean, you can, like I've talked about before, you can. I think a lot of people are guilty of this, and I was guilty of this for several years. Was you you get saved, you get baptized, and it's like, whew, done. Check that box. Everything's good. Now all I gotta do is just, show up to church once a week and I'm doing my part and everything's good. You're not growing. You're not going anywhere. And you're not making other disciples by doing that. So I think you can be 60 years old and not be very strong in your faith whatsoever, or you could be 30 years old and considered an elder, if you will,
Mhm.
depending on how much time if you've really dedicated your life to it.
Well, this is interesting. I know I remember reading something about this. Now check this out. This is the letter to Titus from Paul, because Paul wrote half the Bible,
Hmm.
and it says qualifications for elders. And I don't know. I saw this. I don't know how far I have to read. Hopefully not too far, because I don't want to sit here and read for like the hour. It says, "This is why I left you in Crete, so you might put what remained." Here, let me skip this part where he talks about where he's at and stuff. Okay. If anyone is above reproach, the husband of one wife, and his children are believers and not open to the charge of debauchery or insubordination, for an overseer as God's steward must be above reproach. He must not be arrogant or quick tempered or a drunkard or violent or greedy for gain, but hospitable, a lover of good, self controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. He must hold firm to the trustworthy word as taught, so that he may be able to give instruction in sound doctrine and also rebuke those who contradict it. So this guy's got to be good enough where he can tell people, "Hey, you're wrong too." And
Hmm.
there's a whole lot of good qualities right there. But
Yeah.
yeah, not every older person has these qualities, just like not every younger person has them either.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting thing. I knew it was somewhere. That was luck. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I haven't been in my church long enough to know who those people are. I know the pastor's like, he seems like a good guy, but then again, we've been there for 2 weeks, so I don't know a whole lot to tell you, because the middle week which was funny. The middle week we went on vacation. We were up in the mountains, so the whole church probably thought, yeah, they came once and left. In fact, that's
Right.
what I said to him when he came
Yeah.
back. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, they just came in and left. They couldn't take it. I said, no, no, no. We
So
just happened to go.
have you guys like had a conversation with him like before or after service or
I haven't
anything?
had a chance to yet. We almost did, because last night, this is Friday, right? Yeah, last night, uh, my son Andrew, who is the high school junior, had a volleyball game as part of homecoming. He plays on the soccer team, but a bunch of the random athletes got together and were playing volleyball, and he
Hmm.
was there. He was the MC for it. And afterwards, we almost got to talk, because I really want to sit down with him, not with the whole family, just me and him one on one. I'd like to have that conversation,
Yeah.
because I'd like to learn more about the church first and about what they're doing, because there's like different Bible studies and stuff. I'm trying to get
Sure.
it cleared up. Uh, haven't had that chance yet. Just talked to him in passing a couple times, but I do look forward to actually getting him to sit down, hopefully, and talk to me for about 10 minutes about what's going on at the church. But
Yeah.
he looks like a cool guy, but I don't know anybody else there.
Hmm.
It's like starting brand new, and the ones I do know are people I don't know as Christians or people I grew up with. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to tell if they were Christian or not until I saw them at the church. I don't, that's not a guarantee either, but
Yeah.
I don't really know them that well. So
You
nobody
know,
go
I,
but up.
I think that's really key because that's how me and Philip's like relationship got started. Was I think we had went to the church maybe two or three Sundays or something like that. Maybe a couple Wednesdays and stuff too. And he actually he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, let's meet up and eat lunch one day." And so we did. We went and sat down and ate at Dairy Queen, as a matter of fact, and just talked about the church and shared our heart to one another, just how we believe, what we think, what we're aspiring to do, and it just kind of went from there. So it started off good because it was, it was very personable between me and him, and yeah, it just kind of grew from there. So yeah, I think that's a good thing to be able to sit down with the pastor and just, you know, um, have a conversation with him.
Do you think he does that with all the new people, or is there something he saw in you that he wanted to have a conversation with you?
No, I think he's probably done it with other people too.
Yeah.
Well, I know for sure um, one other couple. Um, so yeah, I don't think it was just like an isolated incident with just me and him. I think he's just that type of guy. Like he wants to get to know the people and know their heart and what they're trying to do and let them know the goal of the church and where he visions the church going and stuff like that. So
I think that's great. I think that's a wonderful idea. It's good to see. It's very proactive on his part because I guess pastors they can be proactive or they can be just kind of on autopilot too. You can tell from some of the sermons, I guess, where it looked like it's just I don't know, like if it's cookie cutter, like it's like something you'd hear any day of the week, or you can really tell when somebody like they work hard to try to find something, try to reach people. You can almost
mhm.
hear it in the voice. So I guess
It
it can
might
happen
get
to
loud
anybody.
here. Might get loud here for just a second. I
What's
think
going to happen?
my wife's coming in, so the dogs are all excited.
I
So
get here.
if I have to randomly mute in a second, just talk about something, I'll be right back.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and say because I don't think I ever mentioned where I was actually reading, except I said Titus. It was Titus chapter 1, verses 5 through 9. So just in case, for reference.
Yeah.
It's really been quiet though, Justin. I'm disappointed in your dogs.
You don't hear them? You don't hear their nails on the hardwood floor?
I hear that, but it's not very loud. I hear them scurrying around.
Oh yeah, they're excited. She's coming in the front door. So, but
So
they're not
what?
barking or anything, so we're good.
Oh yeah, they sound. You don't hear anything hardly. How do your kids like the church?
Oh man, they love it.
Do they? So what do they
Yeah.
love about it? It's like the youth real strong there, or what?
Yeah, the youth is pretty. The youth is real strong, and they're and it's not when I think youth, I think like the teenagers, like the teenage group,
Mhm.
which is a very good group, but they also have a lot for the smaller kids too. For Stetson and Bella, my two younger ones, so they really enjoy it. They learn. Um, they're really active with them, so that's definitely important to me and Anna for the kids to be involved in some type of program where they're learning. So that's one of the
Oh, go
perks
ahead.
of the church. Yeah.
I was gonna say before we start going to this church I'm talking about, in my mind, I'm like, well, I got to teach these kids. I got to teach them about Jesus, why God became a man and came down here. I got to teach them this whole thing, and I started to realize once I started going to the church, I said we need a church to come in and complement that because me trying to do that wasn't
Hmm.
working. Having the church, having that the voice of the pastor, and hopefully later on the youth, I think is gonna be
Hmm.
real good for them because they're kind of all over the place with this stuff so far. I mean, I couldn't say. My daughter says that you know I don't know. She would be the only one of them that would be baptized so far, probably.
Hmm.
The boys, we're still working on them, but I think this church is going to be good for that. And I'm saying this because people out there that maybe are believers that read their Bibles and don't go to church regularly, I think you're missing like a key component that I was missing over the last several months, really during COVID when the church was really shut down on my end. We were watching online and stuff. I think you got to have that
Yeah.
in person. You got to have those other people. And I think the kids got to have it, really.
Hmm. And I think one of the things that I've come to understand is like you can absolutely feed yourself. If you're strong in your faith and you're reading your Bible and you're studying, you obviously get to that point where you can feed yourself and you're not reliant on somebody, a church or a particular person to feed you spiritually. Um, but it does help to be around other Christians, to build each other up, I mean, and to just be honest, to hold each other accountable too.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's very important. And like you said, with the kids, like it's not just me trying to teach my kids. They're getting it from other areas too. So Yeah, that's super important for us too.
Are you the one who sent me the video of the preacher talking to the fathers in the congregation, compelling them to
Mm,
do their job because it wasn't his
yes,
job to be their father?
yes.
I thought that was
Hmm.
really good.
Oh, it's very
Uh,
good. Yeah.
like um, and I guess for people that are listening or watching, depending on what time you're doing this, he sent me a video of this preacher, and he was getting on to these fathers because they bring their kids to church, and they don't do. They're the head of the house. They're the head spiritually. They're the head of the house, and they're not doing their job at home. They're just bringing them to church. It's like having a babysitter. So this guy will take care of it for me. I thought that was
Hmm.
really good. I thought that
Yeah.
was really a good thing for you to send me. I really enjoyed that because I think a lot of people are in that boat. They're like they put their kids there thinking, all right, now they're good, they're fine. I don't have to do anything.
And it was obviously it wasn't that type of situation where someone was literally, um, harping at me about being the spiritual leader of my house. But I don't know if I think I've told you the story before. I might have even said it on the podcast before. But the what really turned me around and got me wanting to go back to church and do all these things, um, the Lord had really been, convicting me and talking to me that it was time for a change. It was time for me to do something and do a better job as a father and the spiritual leader of my house. And I was driving to Waycross one day, which is the next town over, and there's a small little community slash town in between, and I drove past Hoboken Baptist Church, and it's right on the main highway. And they always put, how churches will always put their little phrase on the sign or whatever,
Mhm.
whether it be a scripture or something to catch your eye when people are driving by. And I was literally driving down the road and, thinking about these things. All this stuff was weighing on my mind about being a better father, being a better husband, doing a better job in the house. And the sign literally read, fathers, are you leading your children to Christ? And it ran all over me, man,
Be like,
driving down the road.
what?
Yes, exactly. I had that moment driving down the road, and from that point, I knew what I needed to do.
Yeah, that's I don't know when it happened, but it did occur to me. It's like it doesn't matter how much I read my Bible for my children unless I lead them, like you said, toward Christ. Because
Hmm.
I can lead myself to Christ, but really, have I done that? If I haven't done that with my children, that's one of my
Hmm.
main jobs.
Right.
And how selfish and horrible would that be to sit there and bring yourself forward without bringing your family with you?
Hmm.
That's just the thought of it now just seems
But
so horrible.
because even outside of direct family members like your children or your wife, um, we are called to put others before ourselves. So even outside of your house, your focus should be on helping others and building others up and kind of taking the focus off yourself. Um, at that being your duty, I guess is what I'm saying is to try to teach others and build others up. Um, so yeah, that would be very selfish to focus on yourself and not try to lead your children to Christ. So.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. It's just one of the things. Before I got into this stuff, I thought about very different things all the time, like just things that a man would think of. Money and sex were one and two, just to be
Hmm.
honest with you.
Yeah.
And they probably changed orders periodically. And now, most of the time, I'm thinking about God. I'm thinking about Jesus. I'm thinking about how it affects my life, how what I need to do to be closer to Jesus. And I think about that most of the time. And I think to me that's a good sign. I'm like, well, that's good. I'm thinking about that all the time. But then it highlights what are my kids thinking about all the time? I know it's not God. How
Right.
how do I fix that with a group of people that don't want to hear anything I have to say ever? How do I fix that? And that's why I think the church kind of comes into play there because the church will speak. where they wouldn't listen to me, they'll listen to the pastor or maybe the youth leader eventually once we meet. I don't know who the youth leader is at this church. That's one of the things
Mhm.
I'm trying to learn more about it. Hopefully that conversation will happen we talked about. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Your kids, all my kids are teenagers except for Jackson. Andrew is probably the most responsible. He's the oldest. He would listen to me,
Mhm.
and he does listen to me. He has a Bible he takes to church. He was very excited about going to church.
Yeah.
But the twins, I mean, they wouldn't listen to instructions on how to put me out if I was on fire, basically.
Right.
So
Well, I think the important thing is building the foundation. Um, because I mean, we're realistic. Like you have teenagers, they have all kinds of outside influence
mhm.
from school, from television, from all angles, right? So, and plus, were you uh, what's the best way to put this? I guess mentally mature at that age. You know what I mean? Able to grasp the big picture in life and all other all things.
Yeah.
No, no. And I think that God realizes that. And so that relation that you're not going to have kids that are just, all about it all the time. I don't think anyway. But the important thing is that you set the example, you live your life to a standard, you lead by example, and you set the foundation for them that way. Similar to how I was when I was a kid. Okay. My mother, we went to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, and it didn't matter if you was sick, whatever. You was just gonna be sick at church because you was going. And so at the time, as a kid, you're like, man, this is ridiculous. Can't we just stay home? I don't feel good. I don't really feel like going today. I don't want to listen to Brother Monroe talk about something that I don't completely understand. It's boring. It's this, it's that. But now that I'm an adult, I'm so thankful for that foundation because I knew where to turn when I was spiraling, when I thought I was in control. So I think that's the important thing is laying that foundation.
I hear what you're saying, and like investing in the future. So if they, the way they act, and when I think about, okay, when I think back when I was 17, what was I thinking about? Well,
Hmm.
probably sex. I was drinking. I was smoking. Uh,
Hmm.
I was in school, but I was skipping school frequently. So I mean, I didn't think about God at all. It probably never occurred to me thought about Jesus or God or anything. Or I'd never understood anything about the Bible. I never read it before. I didn't care about it.
Hmm.
I'd come up in the church and I'd come up taking communion classes because we had to, being Lutherans and stuff. You had to go to class for the stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't care a bit about it. I could have told you anything about it. And I think about the twins. They were 14. Same story. Uh, my worry is that I know that nothing is guaranteed in life. You're
Hmm.
not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed the rest of the day today.
Right.
And my question is, and this is a question that's rhetorical because no one can answer this. Are you guaranteed all the time you need to find Christ if God knows you will find Christ? You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's my concern for my children. I don't want, God forbid something happens to them, but I don't want that cut short before they have the opportunity to
Right.
come to Christ.
To put it in chicken spoke terms, what
Oh,
you're
good.
saying is that you're trying to instill in them and you don't want something to happen and God to take their life before they have the opportunity to come to him as they're learning and as they're growing before they took that step. You don't want it to be cut short from
Right.
something. Um and like your question is, does God do that? Does he pull people ahead of time even though
He
4
knows
years from
all. Yeah, he
right, he
knows.
knows all. So would he pull them early knowing that 4 years from now they would come to know him? And that's I don't have an answer for that. You know,
It's one of those questions,
it's tough. It's very tough.
I would I don't know, I would almost think not, but I don't know if we're given free will and we've been here before. I think God knows the outcomes of all situations, but He doesn't choose how they got there. He just knows the course of what's going to be chosen. He doesn't predetermine what it is. So knowing that, if He knows what the outcome is, and He knows the outcome will be, I'm going to come to Christ, therefore have my gateway to God, He would have no part in like putting that light out. I wouldn't think, but I don't know. I don't mean I know we don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So me saying this is like, a third grader talking about it.
And I want to make one point too, that what you were talking about just before this, about being the leader in your house and trying to build your kids up and stuff and set the example and all those things. I think one of the hurdles that I'm honest enough to say, and I know you are too, but I think one of the hurdles that we share is that part of our children's lives, we weren't doing what we were supposed to be doing. Okay.
Yeah.
So we set a bad example starting out, maybe half of their life. And so
right.
now they see dad's changed and he's all about church and he's all about this, like, and they remember all the stupid stuff you did before you were doing that. So it's another hurdle that we have to get over, is being able to explain to them why there's a difference, why you've changed, and why it's important.
That's a really, really good point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm super guilty.
Yep.
Super duper guilty
Okay.
of that. And I cringe. And this wasn't long ago. We're talking about going back a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I would cuss.
Oh yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
We're talking f everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would cuss,
Yep.
and I would do things in front of them that now, what a golden example for the devil that I was.
Yeah.
And how am I going to prove that that was wrong? We were having good times then. We were fun.
And even the simplest things too, like maybe even shows that you used to watch on TV.
Mhm.
That people cuss every other breath, or there's sexual stuff in it, or there's crazy violence in it, or something like that. And then you totally change and you're like, we're not watching that anymore. We're going to watch Pure Flicks, or we're going to watch this, or we're going to watch that. We're not watching that garbage anymore. And it's like, wait a minute, wait, what? No, we've watched it before, or
Right.
you've watched stuff like this in the past. So it can be very tough.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I look back and thought, man, was I a screw up? Like I was doing all the wrong things, and still do wrong things. I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm not putting myself on a pedestal now. Like I still mess up every day, but the important thing is that I'm striving to do better. I feel like.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that motion, that perpetual motion forward, is a distinction that when you come to Christ, you want to move forward. You're not clear of sin for sure. I could list a ton of stuff just from today. Just talk
Yeah.
about just feelings of jealousy, judgment, all sorts of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that one of the things you recognize it when it happens. You're like, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry for that sin. You come to terms with it and you try to move past it. Whereas the other
Mm-hmm.
ways, you just some of it you can almost. It's kind of weird. You almost like you can enjoy it. And I don't know. I hate to say it like that, but like if you have a group of people together and
Mm-hmm.
like in school or something, and you're making fun of somebody, maybe they look strange or something, or they're awkward or something. Everybody's enjoying that. Everybody's feeding off of each other. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's like I'll stop short of saying evil, but I think that's the devil at work right there. He gets in those groups and he turns them all against somebody, and that still happens now in certain ways.
Yep.
Um,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
This is where you take over. Oh, you're not going to go to your cup. I mean, you go to your cup, then I got to say something. Okay, here we go. I like that. Oh. For those of you on the podcast, thank you, Justin. In case you didn't believe he was really drinking something. See, back in the day, that would have been an Irish coffee for me.
Right.
And that's not good. That's not good.
No.
Boy, drinking is not good. I know drinking is not like one of the things like if you have a beer, it's not a sin because people are drinking in the Bible. I mean, like I said, I think Paul was telling one of the other guys, maybe it was Timothy. I'm not sure if it was Timothy, one of them to drink a little wine because it would help his stomach because he was having an issue or something. It was really weird.
Yeah.
When I read it, I was like, okay, it's like a medicinal thing. But I think it says drunkards are bad. And boy, looking back at me, that's the truth. I mean, absolutely. I look like a idiot. Some of the stuff that I did, I can't even hardly mention it here. I know that we should be able to say everything we've done in life
Mm-hmm.
and put that out in the open. But there's a few things that I couldn't say right here. I just
Yeah.
don't have the guts to say it.
Well, I think the important thing, and I don't think that it's like necessary to tell everybody that you talk to everything that you've done in your past. I think the important thing is that you've confessed with your mouth to God that you have made mistakes and that you need His forgiveness, and you move on from it. If you keep hanging on to the past, how do you grow when you get stuck here? If you get stuck on, I've done all these terrible things, I'm not worthy, all this stuff, then you never grow. I'm not saying forget it, but don't let it hold you down.
Yeah. If Jesus can forgive you, then you can definitely forgive yourself and move on.
Right.
If Jesus, the guy on the cross, forgives you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, this stuff, and the struggle is it's every day, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is a good design. If the devil's coming along and he's putting you in these positions where you potentially could sin and fail, and we do all the time, then
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would be a great plan by him because it brings you further away from God. And I guess I don't know if somebody said this one time, but like sin is basically moving away from God, almost like it's almost separating yourself from God. And the
Yeah.
devil puts you in these little spots, and man, the traps are everywhere, and I fall into half of them. It feels like, and
Yeah.
it's just as much work to try to just to say, all right, I want your forgiveness, God. I'm going to keep moving on because you feel unworthy.
Mm-hmm.
You no longer feel worthy of even having Jesus in your life.
Well, and here's a scripture for you that kind of ties into that, and I cannot remember where it is. I literally just read it the other day. But he talks about when you wait a minute, maybe I do remember.
Uh oh, it's coming back.
It might not. Anyhow, moral of the story is that it's recognizing once you change that that you're going to have to fight through a lot of stuff, and you're going to have, what does he say? You're going to have to take up your cross daily. That
Yeah.
means it's not going to be easy, you know. There you're going to go through trials and tribulations, I guess is the best way to put it.
Hey,
So
that sounds like Paul. Here, let me quickly look through Paul's writings.
I'm telling you, it's
Paul,
if you
probably.
find it and you tell me where it's at,
I
I'm gonna
don't
be
know.
like,
I don't know that one. I know it. I mean, I
yeah,
recognize it, but I could not tell you. It's like Paul wrote that to some church. Hold on for about 3 hours, and I'll find it.
right.
I wish it would only take 3 hours. And if it's
Yeah,
a lot of times, like we could say something, and I've got it like in brackets or something, and it's easy to find. But that one I don't remember. I have no idea where it's at.
yeah,
But that's a good thing about maybe people who have never read the Bible. The letters to the churches are really good because it's like these are people like us
mm-hmm.
that are struggling and trying to get their faith. Basically, these churches have just started, but really our faith has just started, so to speak. I mean, mine has just started, so we're really similar to these people. So
Yeah,
it speaks to the reader. So
yeah,
maybe First and Second Corinthians is probably good, and Romans is really good
mm-hmm.
for this sort of thing.
Yep,
And then I don't know. You said Colossians is one of your favorites, so that's pretty
yeah.
good.
I like Colossians. Man, I like it all. What am I saying? But
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. Yeah, because we were talking about that. It's like, well, let's point out the
like,
bad parts of the Bible.
yeah, but like you said, there are certain things that really like tug on your heartstrings, and you remember it, so they really speak to you. So
Yeah, you had that good one that put on your new self, Colossians chapter 3, that you did a few
mhm.
weeks ago. That was really good. So we won't have
It's
to read
what
all of them, but you guys can find those if you want to learn more about it.
Anna just educated me. Luke chapter 9, verse what? 23 and 24.
I have a place marker in Luke because I'm reading it. So Luke chapter 9. Which one was it?
Verse 23 and 24.
Oh yeah, take up your cross and follow Jesus. It wasn't Paul at all, was it?
It wasn't.
But he was friend with Paul. No,
I knew it was in there. All right, that's what's important.
yeah, it was in the Bible. Yeah.
Was it
But,
23 and
but
24?
how many turtle doves does it take? That's the question.
Yep, here it is. Then he said to the crowd, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways. So it's not about you anymore, and take up your cross daily and follow me." So
Well, I try to, I'm trying to like keep this in my mind. This thought, just like you read, maybe that not that particular verse, but like the whole sentiment that is, it's not about you any longer. And
mhm.
just the things that Jesus would say when someone asks for, I forget what it is, for your cloak and give them your tunic or whatever he said. It's like if someone asks for something, give him more than he asked for.
Mhm.
If a beggar asks for $1, give him the dollar. So I'm trying to do all that stuff, even on a small scale. Like, even if like, you go to like the Walmart and it says, would you like to donate $1 to whatever? I'm
Mhm.
just trying to do it every single time to get in the habit of making sure that the value is on the help and not the money.
Right.
Because Zach before would have said, I want the money.
Right.
So, but I feel like I value it less now. Um,
Yeah.
not zero, but less.
And also touching on the whole uh where he talks about turn from your selfish ways, and basically it's not about you anymore. Um, look at verse 24. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it.
Yeah, this is a good group. I just want to show you there's multiple brackets. Like, where is it? Can you see? Oh, hold on. Can you see it? Oh
I
my
can't. Oh
gosh,
yeah, I
it's
think I vaguely see that.
there's
I believe
brackets
you.
everywhere. Yeah,
I believe you. It's bracketed.
I'm trying to prove that there's brackets here. No, well, the whole thing because the section is called in my Bible. It's called "Take Up Your Cross and Follow Jesus," and
Yeah.
it had like this big thing around it. And then there's like these little brackets because the line is so powerful. The one you just said reads, "For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it." Then
Hmm.
the 25 is, "For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself?" And I
Hmm.
think that goes along with what I'm saying because if you're
Exactly.
trying to be successful, have all this money and all this worldly stuff, where exactly does that get you? I mean, it gets you nowhere really because
No.
this is like a tiny thing in
Yeah, or
eternity.
that is essentially you're focused on worldly gains. You're worried about the here and now, about being successful and putting all this money in the bank and having a fat house or a nice car or truck or whatever. And that, like, those things are like, that is not where your focus should be whatsoever. And you know what I found also, um, just in my life, um, since I have been trying to do the right thing and build my relationship with God, and build my children up and be a better husband and all those things. I don't really care about all those things really much anymore. Like I guess focused on the big picture is the best way to put that. Like, I don't really think about those things. And you know what? All the things that I used to worry about, like bills and money and this and that, I've been fortunate enough that God's been blessing us that it ain't been an issue. My bills are paid. Um, so it's just the perfect example of, if you're doing the right things, everything else works itself out, I guess is the best way to put it.
The,
Uh,
the people that are at church that say amen and stuff out loud, I never
mhm,
been the type to go amen, praise Jesus in the middle of stuff. But what
mhm,
you're saying, that is right on the money.
yeah.
The more you're into this, the less that stuff seems to matter. And I mean, that to me, that's the beauty of it. You
Mhm,
have someone who has no money, who thinks they have nothing in life, and you can tell this person. The book tells these people that it doesn't matter about any of that stuff because it's harder for a rich person to make it into heaven. He says, what it says, camel through the eye of a needle. It's harder for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich person to make it to heaven.
mhm,
And you think you're destitute and you have nothing, but Jesus is sitting there telling you, say, you have everything. It doesn't matter. This stuff doesn't matter
yeah.
because it doesn't mean anything. It's all, it like, it goes away. I forget what what it says, but it's like this is all going to pass away. It doesn't matter. And it's
Mhm.
just it's beautiful because no matter who you are, you can have this. No one's
Yeah.
barred from it. Anyone can have it.
Mhm.
You're right on the money, dude. You're right.
Yeah. I try.
Well, I mean, it's one of them things. I was like, oh, praise Jesus, because
Right.
it really is. It's a system that doesn't. So many things in life. If you don't have something, you can't be part of it. Uh,
Mhm.
I'd love to live on the ocean, like right at the beach. I think that'd be awesome. My wife wouldn't go with me probably because she doesn't like it. But if
Right.
she did, I would love to be there. I'll never be able to afford it.
Mhm.
Two reasons. Right now, I don't have the money, and I'm not seeking to have that much money. I've never
Yep.
been like, if someone dumps a bunch of money in my lap, sure, I'm going to take it. But, I'm not seeking to get that much millions and millions of dollars. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Uh, is it worth trading that for eternal life? No. I mean, I'm pretty sure eternal life's gonna be better than living at the beach and then
Yeah.
finding your car's rusting out because of the salt and all the things that are a double-edged sword you don't think about because it's the world, it's not heaven.
Mhm.
Man,
Yep.
that's good.
Joe says you can have it all. My empire of dirt.
What is that? You can have it all, my empire of dirt. Oh, that's oh, what's it hurt? What is it? The song called?
Uh,
Johnny Cash did it, and I forget what the other people. 9 Inch Nails, maybe.
9 Inch Nails. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hurt. Yeah.
hurt. Yeah, it's hurt. I was just listening. I love the Johnny Cash version of it because it has that piano in the background. You can have it all, and it's like it's so haunting in there in the background. It has all those like pictures of him, like the little statue of him. It's really good. I
Mhm.
really like that song. It's weird that him and 9 Inch Nails did a song. That's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
But it's very
two
sad.
two polar opposites.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we have one song by System of a Down and also by the Gaithers. Yeah, okay, all right. Oh man, it's that's a trip. I was like, I've heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
I like it though. I mean, that's the sort of thing. And now that we have modern vehicles, there's like Bluetooth in them now. Before I had like tape decks and everything that I owned. But there's a Bluetooth thing in there now, so I can go to YouTube and play whatever I want through the Bluetooth. That's how I listen to music half
Mhm.
the time. It's great.
Yeah.
That
I
has
just
popped
think
up on there many times.
just to wrap up what we were talking about, like I just think it's I guess my focus isn't on materialistic things. Like, sure, I want things. I want more guns. I want this. I want that. But it's not like a huge priority. I guess is the way to put it. Like, we have a good vehicle. We have a good reliable vehicle, and some people are like, yeah, but I really want to build up and get a Ferrari. Like I don't care about that. I don't care about that stuff. So
No, I agree. I mean, we just got we traded the Tahoe in to get a minivan. I
mhm.
think I mentioned that before because her mother-in-law is easier to get in there. Melissa's always like these Honda Odyssey vans, and we got it. And she's like, "You're not very excited about it." I said, it's not as exciting as it once was to do this. I mean, sure, it's nice having a nice clean car, which will last about 24 hours for a child
Right.
spills a drink in it or something.
Oh yeah, know that all too well.
Oh my gosh. It's like that first time I said, Zach, just remember it's going to happen. So don't get angry when it happens because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet, by the way. We'll see about that. But it doesn't have the same feeling to it. It doesn't mean as much. I mean, it's nice to have a new car because hopefully it'll break down less than an older car. But besides that, I mean, it's not this extravagant thing that everybody's looking forward to, which is interesting because
Yeah.
it used to be such a big deal.
And
But
you know what? Craig is really good at this. He always throws something in there. He's like, "Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, Craig." He says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you." That's exactly what we're saying. If you put your focus somewhere else, everything else. If you put your focus on God, I shouldn't say somewhere else. But if you put your focus on God, the rest He will provide, and everything else will work itself out.
yeah,
So
Craig is always on the ball.
he is.
It's good. He finds a way to make what we said coherent. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.
Joe said, "Take up auto repair."
Take up auto repair. Hey, I tell you, That's not a bad idea. My truck is a 2013 GMC Sierra, and I
Yeah.
was sitting there at the school ballpark, and Mallory got done with practice. I was sitting there, and all of a sudden the truck little dash thing says turned off AC, engine hot. I was like, what? I
Oh
said,
yeah.
this ain't running hot there. I mean, it wasn't running hot. In
Mhm.
fact, and I looked down, and the needle, it divides it up into three numbers. It's like 260, 200, and 160 or something like that for the engine
Mhm.
temperature.
Yeah.
And it was at 160. So it's not reading anything. The gauge is
Right.
not working for whatever reason. The little sending unit's not working or something like that. So it's
Mhm.
thinking that there's an issue and turning off my air conditioner, and I can't turn it back on. It won't let me turn the air conditioner back on in this truck, so I got to take it in. I mean, it's running fine, but it keeps. I guess it's a fail safe or something.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that happen to one of our box trucks, and I don't remember what they ended up having to do, but it was overheating badly. Um, yeah, yeah,
This
like
hasn't happened yet. It's been fine so
yeah,
far.
like
Knock on
like
wood.
left them on the side of the road overheating. But yeah, that was the first thing that happened is it cut the threw a bunch of error codes or whatever and cut the AC off and all this stuff. And
Oh
then
my
next thing you
god.
know, yeah, it was overheating. And then we had to it was bad too because we had to take it to the guy that works on all our stuff, and he's probably 10 miles away or something like that. And we had the truck at the shop, and my boss was like, "We need to get that box truck out there, so I'll follow you out there. You drive it." Okay, fine. So get in it, and it start like as I'm going down the road, is like that temperature starts slowly creeping up,
Oh
and before
yeah.
and before we got there, it was pegged out, AC was off, and it went into like limp mode. I couldn't drive more than like 30 miles an hour. I'm like,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
boy,
You made it though, right?
I made it. I
I
made
can't
it.
believe you made it. Oh
It
my
was in
gosh.
limp mode. It was a slow haul, but we made it there.
Oh, I tried that one time with one of our minivans previously, except I was going farther. I was like, I'm gonna get this thing back. I got to get this thing out. I don't want to have to hire a tow truck or whatever. I'm just gonna get it back. I got
Mm,
about 5 miles, and that the temperature starts going up. So all right, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. We're out here on the interstate. Air is passing through there. It's gonna be nice and cool. It's like funk, and it like goes all the way over. Steam starts coming out of us. Like,
oh
well,
yeah.
nope, we didn't quite make it.
That one other story too about overheating vehicles. So I used to have before he bought me this new truck, I had the little small Transit Connect, one of the little small deals, and it's got two fans um, at the radiator, like mounted right in front of the radiator.
Mhm.
And those kick, every time it starts to get hot, those kick on, yada yada. So I had noticed, I think the day before, that every time I would get stopped at like a red light, my AC didn't work well, and I was just it was like the temperature
I I
was
know this
dancing.
story.
Yep, yeah. So, but when I'm going down the highway, everything was fine. Okay, AC would blow good, no issues with overheating. I was at an install checking on them. Went in, checked on them, blah blah blah. Come back out in the driveway in the customer's driveway, and was getting in my Transit, and I started it up. Well, one of the installers walked out and needed to talk to me, so I left it running, got out of the Transit. Now, mind you, we're not going down the road. We're sitting there idling in the driveway. I get out the Transit, walk to the box truck, and I'm talking to him at the back of the box truck. And like 5 minutes goes by. Then all of a sudden we hear shh over at the Transit, and then all of a sudden,
Oh.
pow! And in the customer's driveway, there went all the freaking fluid poured out on their driveway, steam boiling out from under the hood. I'm like, yep, that's what it was, and it all stemmed from the fans weren't running.
Yeah, we had that problem one time with a different minivan. I can't even believe I'm telling stories that actually go along with this. Yeah, we had to end up driving it into the shop, but the shop was on the highway, and I forget what it's. Maybe it was like the relay for the fan was bad because they had
Hmm.
the little relays up in the box.
Yep.
I think that's what it was. Actually, no, that's not what it was. My wife hit a deer. The fan was busted. We
Oh,
had to
yeah.
take it to yes, because this is Chicken Spunk North, so there's deer all over the roads. We've hit deer literally multiple times here. I've hit a
Hmm.
couple of them myself.
Yep.
And so as long as we stayed on the highway and drove it, it was fine. So that's what we did. We just drove it down the highway. We made it there. And if you had to stop, to turn it off and wait. If you had to stop a light, you just shut it off.
Yep.
But that's so funny. I had so many stories like that. One time our work van overheated. We got out and the steam was looked like it was coming out from under the cap. And then I looked at my buddy and says, "Why'd you take that cap off?" It's like, "I don't think so." It's like, but no, I guess that's life though. I mean, I'm so annoyed by like auto brake when the cars break down. I just get so annoyed by it. Like it's never going to happen. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Well, it is 9 o'clock. Now
It is 9 o'clock.
We talked the whole time with no awkward pauses.
It's good. Should we pause now?
That's a step in the right direction, Zach.
Well, hurry up and stop the show before it happens, because I tell you what, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen anytime now. I feel it.
All right, so let's see. So since you said that, you should probably end the show. I think that would be the best. That way, we know for sure that it will stop when you stop it.
Okay. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate y'all being here. Everybody that listens to the podcast after the fact, we appreciate it. If you will, give us some type of a star rating on there or a like or however that works. Hopefully it'll help us out. We're just trying to, get the word out to people and, hopefully they, come to know Jesus if they don't already. And we're going to continue to do this. We enjoy it. It helps us build our, build our relationship with God, talking about it. Me and Zach kind of hold each other accountable. So, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's important to have. So, We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.